Hello everyone, welcome to another race in the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past Randomizer tournament. We have another Group R match for you here. This is for the second spots to advance to the bracket between fylion and GanonsGoneWild. I am JP and I'm joined by Mercer. How you doing, Mercer?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I've actually got some hot chocolate and a space heater ready to watch this particular match.
It's actually funny. I've got some hot chocolate here too. I got some hot chocolate, doctored it up with a little bit of cherry and creamer. Yep, we have a Group R match here. In this group, Plasma Kappa has already advanced, and so fylion and GanonsGoneWild are fighting for that second spot. GanonsGoneWild was the 1 seed in this group, fylion the 3 seed.
Yeah, but with the quality of qualifiers this year, that hasn't meant as much as it might have in years past. It's really an intense competition this year.
It is. If you actually look at the scores, go back to the qualifier results and look at them, the gap between people is pretty small. So even though we're talking like a difference between a 1 seed and a 3 seed in the group, it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm expecting a pretty tight race tonight. This is game 1, so we're just playing with our normal, open 7-7 settings for the tournament.
And we're off. Yep, as you said, game 1, so standard game 1 settings. Start with 20 rupees in Link's house. Giving us our map check, Red Crystal Hera and a Pendant Desert.
Yeah, and just a normal crystal at Eastern, it looked like. So not a terrible layout to see. You like seeing as many Light World crystals as possible, and Desert has the highest entrance requirement of those 3.
Got some green rupees from the Tier 1 tree pool. We'll see if either runner decides to set up for a Tier 2 or 3. But we also got 2 checks down here. There's bombs for Kakariko and flippers on the uncle.
Yeah, and a full magic drop off the guards if we get anything to utilize.
And I think a lot of runners this early would prefer to have 500 rupees before they start doing flipper checks. But we'll see what they do with those. There's a Moon Pearl. So there's one part of the 3 we need for Dark World access.
Yeah, although if they get like mitts out of Kakariko with no weapon, they might put it off for a little bit.
It's a good point. We'll see what they get out of Kakariko as they're both headed there. Looks like fylion is setting up for a Tier 2 tree pull. Potentially a Tier 3. I don't know if he's got hit.
Yeah, he just got hit.
For those of you curious about the tree pulls, basically the game is coded so you'll get 3 different results from a tree pull. You'll get 1 if you kill 1 enemy and then pull a tree, 1 for killing 4 enemies and then pulling a tree while getting hit, and 1 when you pull a tree after killing 4 enemies without getting hit. In the vanilla game, this is 1 rupee, 5 rupee, and 20 rupees that drop from the tree. But in Randomizer, those are randomized.
Yeah, kind of the big thing you'll love to see early is either the 20 rupee drop or bombs.
Yeah, those are very nice ones to see. And you'll see runners sometimes set that up. Like fylion tried to set it up. fylion did set it up, but just didn't really benefit much from it.
Yeah, single heart's not exactly the prize you're looking for.
We got blind sets. There's a Kena Samaria, a blue boomerang, and a sword.
That's pretty decent equipment to start with.
Yeah, I definitely would not turn down a blue boomerang early. It's not the most useful item, but early on, having a stun item is actually pretty nice. And worst case scenario, a lot of runners like to have a boomerang just for the simple fact that it helps you menu.
Yeah, the sword and cane are also both kind of nice. The cane will potentially be required. We do still have 2 pendants outstanding, so it is possible they are Meyer and TR, but it can actually be useful as a well.
Looking through the well, nothing else really down there. Got a couple heart containers. That's about it. We can get a chicken hut check.
Yeah, so far I'd say we're at a pretty average opening / Kakariko.
Yeah, they've got a couple items out of it.
It's always nice to get that sword early.
Yeah, absolutely. I know some runners will choose the assured setting just because of that sword. Even though it doesn't change the game too much, having a sword is a nice, I don't want to say safety, but it's a nice, just nice to have throughout the seed.
Yeah, it manages to just be far more irritating to not have a sword in a normal tournament seed like this than it is if you're playing with the swordless setting, because that adds just a lot of convenience things like curtains already being cut down or the ability to use medallions. Our first bottle on race game.
We're going to see GanonsGoneWild go back for that. They can grab that bottle, go back and check Sick Kid right now. Fylion's just going for it blind, and he's going to make up a couple seconds because of that.
Yeah, that'll basically give him the time back that he spent on that tree pull.
So they're both going to go back and check that bottle at Sick Kid right away. This is definitely something you don't want to leave behind, because if you don't check it right now, you're going to isolate it. And who knows when you can get back here.
You may also simply forget about it.
That is true as well. Just rupees. So they're both going to save and quit. South Shore is most likely next check. One thing I did notice they picked up is they picked up that 10 bomb pack. Only one in the pool. And that'll give them a good number of bombs going for them as they go through their next few checks.
Ooh, but a divergence here. It looks like fylion may be heading up to do front of escape while GanonsGoneWild is doing the more traditional South Shore.
That is interesting. We'll see who comes up with the better items out of this.
Front of escape can be really awkward to route in, especially if you open on Uncle instead of having 5 checks up that way.
Ooh, we got a stun prize of 20 rupees.
Well, that'll be useful for getting towards Zora money. And it looks like fylyon's going to work up towards it here.
Yep, he's taking full advantage of that stun prize. So quick explanation on stun prize if anybody's not familiar. Stun prize, basically when you kill an enemy after you've stunned it with either the boomerang or the hook shot, the drop is set. In vanilla game, it's green rupee. It's randomized in Randomizer, and for today, it will be red rupees.
Yeah, funnily enough, I actually think in the vanilla game that's meant to penalize you for stunning enemies.
But I'd believe that.
A mini Moldorm cave check coming up here.
Bunch of bombs, a green rupee, another rupee, half magic at least.
I mean, the half magic saves it some, but otherwise just bombs when he was basically already on max and 6 rupees.
Finally, I'm going down to check Zelda's cell. He has been taking full advantage of that stun prize. And I think he's going to do a dark maze check or dark cross check after this.
Yeah, set up nicely for the death warp there.
So there's something down here. He might get lucky, and if he gets to the small key, he can head to all the way to the back. We'll have to see. GanonsGoneWild did check Ice Rod Cave, just a piece of heart out of that.
And gonna do some of the flipper checks, unless like there's just a ton of money in Waterfall Cave. Not gonna be able to check Zora.
Fylian's been setting himself up better for a Zora check, but he still has a bit of a way to go.
Yeah, the enemies in the downstairs part of escape actually just take damage from the boomerang instead of being stunned by it. It's something that didn't show in the dark.
It was the map.
That's the second race I've called today that had Ether at Hobo. Kind of interesting.
We don't know if we need that Ether just yet. We'll have to wait and see. Fylian's going to start doing his South Shore checks, continuing to gather those rupees. I believe there was a 50 pack in the dam, but that's pretty much it for significant rupees. He'll need to kill 10 more stunned enemies to have enough.
If he's doing Ice Rod Cave, which I think had a big 20, right? I think he's going to get there just on... that's right. I think he'll get there just from... Like, there's like 5 or 6 crabs. Ooh, and a hook shot in Waterfall Ferry.
That is a nice pickup. Does not open anything right now, but will down the line. And GanonsGoneWild is not going to be able to get the Zora item unless there's a 300 pack here on the ledge and he kills a few Zoras.
Yeah, he hasn't. And it's a required fire rod there on the Zora ledge.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely grab that.
Technically, that brings Dark Cross into logic, but we know it's just the map, so not relevant.
The Fylian's going to get his disappointment in here. Answer a quick question in chat. Yes, the tournament uses all advanced logic in the seed generation. So there are techniques like using the fire rod on some of these dark rooms is considered part of the logic.
I mean, Fylion going full out on this rupee farming tour. Although he missed that one.
Yeah. GanonsGoneWild gonna check escape now. I think this is taking that fire rod and following potential logic here. Fylian's gotta be very careful. So GanonsGoneWild is going to check the front of escape. So he's going to make up. So he's going to basically kind of catch up with Fylion here. Both of them are going to make the same checks. Fylion down to 80 rupees needed. Needs to kill 4 more enemies.
Yeah, probably just going to murder some Zoras.
He does have to be careful. Still at 1 heart. We're starting to run out of places to check, though. We've got Zora still that is in logic because of flippers. We do have 3 items at Eastern and 3 items at Saharsla as well.
Yeah, and hard to tell how many of the items in Eastern will be available or in logic without a bow.
And technically also without the lamp. It actually could be as few as 1 item in Eastern that's in logic right now.
Yeah, although that darkroom definitely won't stop them, but still could only be 2 items available. Still, it's the densest area by a lot.
Yep, chat's already pointing out, yes, Agina is also in logic.
I mean, that's 1 check. We're probably going to see this actual Zora check, which is kind of a big deal. If it's something important, it might be a while before GanonsGoneWild makes it back over there. He still has not seen the stun prizes 20 rupees either.
And I think Fylion, he's got his bottle here, and this fair gives red potions, so he might take the health refill if he thinks about it. Nope, never mind.
Speaking of the red potion, GanonsGoneWild burns it rather than risking dying going for this Dark Crawl's chest. And there's 500.
So let's see if this Zora check pays off for Fylion. He's been farming those rupees ever since South Shore.
Yeah, that was a really excellent job getting the money on a seed that did not want to give it to him, other than that stun prize. May or may not be anything. Knowing how Zora goes, probably isn't, but still very well done.
Or it's a flute.
I mean, okay. So that puts Light Death Mountain other than Hera into logic.
That would put... Basically, there's only 1 check on Hera right now, or on Death Mountain right now. Just Spectral Rock, basically.
He's got Hookshot.
Oh, you're right. I mean, yeah. That puts a lot of Death Mountain into logic, then.
Yeah, and even though Hookshot was in Waterfall Cave, which we're kind of used to being out of logic, they do have flippers, so it's not a fake check.
Yeah. So that is a potentially... That's going to give Fylion a bit of an advantage early. As you said, GanonsGoneWild. It could take him a while before he goes there.
Yeah.
Especially if, say, he finds a glove down here in Eastern.
Yeah, like he might just be forced to do it. Doesn't even have like out of logic no lamp AGA access right now.
So yeah, Phylion's blowing that flute, and he's going straight up to Death Mountain. Gonna save the old man first, out of logic, but most runners can get through this. This is a pretty easy dark room once you know the pattern.
Yeah, I'd actually be shocked if the number of runners who qualified who can do this dark room is anything other than 128.
Personally, I won't do it sometimes if I don't have a sword. Depends on what other items I have. This can be a little tricky if you don't have a good way to identify where you are. But that would be the only case where I might not.
No, no real reward from the old man in terms of items, but does give the save and quit point.
And GanonsGoneWild got the glove out of Eastern.
That actually could be kind of painful.
It depends on what's up here on Death Mountain. If, say, the lamp's up here, then GanonsGoneWild rushes Death Mountain. That could at least clue him into where the flute is.
True. Worth noting, could be painful both ways depending on just what's up here, because it might be a while before fylion gets over to Eastern. Like if the other glove and hammer are up here or something.
Yeah, fylion saw a bottle in Spectacle Rock and is going to leave it behind, heading to Eastern Death Mountain. GanonsGoneWild going to check the back of Escape. There's 2 items plus a small key back here.
Oh, well, there's our hammer. That's Dark World access for GanonsGoneWild.
Ooh.
So if the other glove is up here, then it gets really interesting.
Now, it's also worth noting, we don't know if that flute's required yet. We have to wait until we see what Meyer is.
Well, yeah, it also, we'll see where the book is for if it's quote-unquote required or not, too.
But GanonsGoneWild is going to climb the mountain, do the sequence break on hit. Well, what is to him a sequence break? Difference for him is with that hammer, he will be able to clear Hera as well.
Yeah, and that is one of our 5-6 crystals, as well as just being a couple of extra item checks. Just a big 20 on the floating island today. No seeing that location, closer up.
So far, Fylian's found the book up here, but not much else unless Spiral Cave has something. So she's just going to come out of that with the book for now.
Yeah, I'm guessing we see a flute to 6 in desert area.
Yep, going right to 6 to check things out. Just a piece of heart on the ledge.
If this isn't boots locked, he can clear it, but it's a pendant.
He can't. He needs the gloves to be able to clear this.
I always forget that. I'm not sure why that's the one requirement. I just always forget on a dungeon.
It definitely is an odd one. It makes sense when you're playing the vanilla game because the game wants to make sure you get the gloves, so it locks the back behind them.
Right, because this is Gloves Vanilla Dungeon.
We've got a small key, so Fylion's not boots locked yet.
Yeah, pretty good chance we're going to get some number of items. To answer chat, you don't need glove if you do the mirror entrance, but don't you need mitts to do the mirror entrance?
So interestingly enough, Desert is not boots locked. Still one item in here.
Yeah, it could be on the torch. We'll see in a second, I'm guessing.
No, GanonsGoneWild's cleared off Paradox Cave. Not on the torch.
Yeah, just a map sitting there. So let's see if it's on the big chest or Landmo.
Hits on Landmo. So the good news for fylion is he's gonna get funneled towards Eastern sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Still has one check he can do, and clearly heading that way, gonna do a Gina.
GanonsGoneWild going into Hera. And there's a big key to start. He's going straight upstairs.
And the old guy just has a heart piece. So guessing we're going to see Eastern now, because I'm not actually sure that fylion has much else left.
I don't think he does. I think it's just Eastern area at this point. Which is good for him, because it'll funnel him towards the glove and then funnel him towards hammer. And there's a bow in Hera. So... technically, so far, Eastern might be a required double dip.
Yeah, I think we've seen enough locations that I'm willing to just say it is. Because I don't see how you can get around not having that glove. We've basically seen every spot you can get without it.
There's one of our pendants. It's Ice Palace. As GanonsGoneWild takes on Moldworm. Just need 3 hammer hits.
Well, there are times in this fight where I don't know that I'd call it just, but gets them cleanly there for the last 2. Had to chase them around a little bit for the first one.
There's a 300 pack.
Yes, there's GanonsGoneWild's Zora money.
That's both items out of Hera, so nothing in the basement. And GanonsGoneWild has the first crystal of the match. So while GanonsGoneWild seems to be taking a bit of a lead, at the same time, in fylion's situation, he's not in a bad spot either. Having that flute going to help with his movement, and with how much of Dark World is probably open to GanonsGoneWild at this point, that flute could easily loot him for a while. But at the same time, of course, we still don't know if it's technically required.
Yeah, even if it's not, the movement for having it this long probably makes up for it. It helps with routing a lot of little things.
We should get the answer soon, as GanonsGoneWild's probably going to make his first trip to the Dark World, and we'll get a map check. Going to start at Hype Cave, which a lot of runners like to do, as fylion grabs his gloves. And our third pendant is Pod, so that flute is required.
Also, Pyramid Fairy is available as our other 5/6 crystal is Skull Woods.
We're about to find out what's in Hype Cave.
Pyramid Fairy, not necessarily fun, because that Mothula fight that they have right now is not great. The half magic helps a lot.
Start the red boomerang. There's a Master Sword. Red shield. 300 rupees. And a mitts.
Okay. I mean, sword plus mitts is a lot.
Yeah, that opens up a lot of Dark World for Ganon's Gone Wild. At this point, he can go back and do Eastern. He can finish Skull. You can do Skullwoods, all of that. He can do all of Thieves Town. So he's already got 4 crystals. He's got full access to.
Yeah, and Flute and Mirror are both hard required because Swamp and Misery Mire are both crystals. As long as Mirror is not like on landless, the double dip in the desert is not going to hurt fylion all that much.
But Phylion's going to get his Dark World access as he picks up his hammer. And Ganon's Gone Wild's going to start in Skullwoods.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would actually expect we do see a early Pyramid Fairy check after this.
Fylion going right to back to Kakariko. Gonna go into the Dark World here. I'm guessing he'll make Skullwoods a first priority as well.
Yeah, it may also push him to actually go up to Hera. Fylion does not have the bow out of Hera just yet.
That could be interesting routing, though. If Fylion does go to Hype Cave and get the mist before he goes back, makes his neck climb up, he'll be able to do those checks that Ganon's Gone Wild might not do for a little bit.
Yeah, I think he probably will be trying to get mitts before heading up there.
Yeah, with half magic on the fire rod, this is a bit easier.
Yeah, also getting that Master Sword helps a lot over the fight, as it looked when first entering Dark World.
That's our other bow.
Okay, sure, that changes a lot, actually.
So assuming Ganon's Gone Wild clears out the front, which he likely will, he'll have his silver arrows shortly.
Yeah, that's a significant time save over the course of the seed, in addition to Ganon. A big help on a potential Landmo fight, on required Vitreous and Armos Knight fights.
Ganon's Gone Wild's got his second crystal already. Yeah, gonna check the chest under the bridge here. Still looking for a second item in Skullwoods. Ganon's gonna set up a death warp to get back to the entrance. With being on green mail, death warps are still easy enough to set up.
I found I'm doing the world tour of this room for magic.
Probably the health too. He's gonna be going into this fighter sword. Even with the half magic on that rod, this is gonna be a bit tricky.
Yeah, could opt for hammer strats. Hammer does tempered sword damage, and tempered swings are the most damage you can do on Mothula, 4 hits. So might see a combination of those. Might see fighter spins plus fire rod shots.
Let's see how Fylion handles his fights. He's got Mothula away from the spikes, which is helping.
That was a gorgeous fire rod fight.
Yeah, that went really well for him as he picks up his first crystal. Ganon's Gone Wild's got his silvers. There's the second item. It's just 10 arrows.
Yep. Probably going to do Village of Outcasts and probably a full clear of Thieves Town. Got the hammer already, so no fear of abandoning a chest.
And get a bumper ledge check. Just a single rupee. Somebody dropped rupee out of their pocket as they were mountain climbing or something.
Well, there's both of those out of the item pool because the other was in Hype Cave. Or not Hype Cave, Mini Moldorm Cave.
So GanonsGoneWild starting to check in the Village of Outcasts. 3 bombs in the sea hut. And we got chest game, just another 3 bombs. Fylion gonna do his bomb jump here, get his second item out of Skull Woods, and he'll be done. GanonsGoneWild is in Thieves Town, sets up a death warp to get some health back. First item is 20 rupees.
Yeah, we'll see how many items are in the front part of Thieves. That skeleton not cooperating today.
I'm starting to go through their options here as we're going through the seed. See what they have left to do. Pod is looking pretty nice right now, even though it's a pendant, because you've got everything to clear it. But on the flip side as well, we've got everything for Ice Palace too. So right now, you've got pendant dungeons you can clear. And that's not always a good feeling.
Yeah, it's 5 item pod versus 4 item ice because of the green pendant. I mean, I think fylion has some options. I'm guessing after Hype Cave, fylion will head up to do Hera and Dark Death Mountain checks.
Somebody in chat talking about how cash is leading to Zora. In the logic in the game, the logic for the game does not care how much cash you have for Zora. It could give you 0 cash and put a required item on Zora. So that's one thing that you don't have to look into for the logic.
Yeah, the 2 big things to know that the game does not, consider logic-wise are rupees and bombs. The game always thinks you have, effectively an infinite supply of both of those.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Gan's gonna walk on 2 items in the front. There's Blue Mail. Actually, no, he found 3 items in the front because he doesn't have a small key or a map or compass. So
that's it. Blue Mail is the last one, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, Blue Mail is a totally fine thing to have, and this is actually a dungeon where I love to have it because those, particularly those little green things in the back, hurt. But not exactly the reward you were looking for.
Yeah, but it is a crystal, so you got to do it. But yeah, looking at our dungeons after this, there's Eastern that you can go back and clear. I don't recall if Armos is going to have an item or not.
I believe it was, but I'm not 100%, I will admit.
But yeah, after that, it's pretty much pendant dungeons. A few more overworld checks, but that's about it. Actually, no, sorry, I'm wrong. Ganon's Gone Wild has some other checks too. He can also do Smith Chain. He can do Purple Chest as well.
And Big Red Bomb. Our tracker correcting me and stating that there is not an item left in Eastern.
Okay, so then Armos will just be a go modes whenever you hit that.
Yeah. I mean, Ganon's Gone Wild does also have Dark Death Mountain checks available, even potentially, and I hate to say this, a TR dive.
Depends on the medallion, but yeah, if TR is Ether, you could potentially go in there right now.
Yeah, the odds that it is Ether, I realize there are 3 pendants and all, so it's 1 in 3. It's not actually 1 in 3 because some of the pendants can...
I mean, medallions.
Are in GT.
But yeah, generally when you get it, if you get a medallion early, it's more than likely going to be a medallion you need. It's not a hard rule, but the seeds tend to go that way.
That said, it's awfully early in the seed to be diving into TR without the Ice Rod.
Yeah, we're looking for that next big piece of progression. Actually, for fylion, assuming he follows the logic, he might be able to go into Meyer. I mean, if he follows the path and goes to Hype Cave. Meyer's potentially on the table for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. The next big piece of progression feels like it's going to be the mirror.
I would agree with that. I mean, looking towards go mode, what we still need to know is where's the ice rod, where's the mirror. We might still need medallions, but I think that's it.
I mean, there's the 5% boots check in GT. But I mean, you probably, our runners will just take that risk and go.
Yeah, absolutely. Ganon's Gone Wild doing digging game. Well, there's the cape, but we might need that still. We do not have an invulnerability item yet. Ganon's Gone going to check Stumpy, then we'll see if he elects to do Pyramid Fairy right now.
Yeah, or go back and get the Smith, maybe. Without Mirror, those checks are so annoying, and he doesn't have the flute either, which helps with it.
Yeah, this looks like a Pyramid Fairy play for Ganon's Gone Wild.
Yeah, I mean, that can head into Pod or into Catfish. It's 3 items by itself because we haven't seen Pyramid Ledge either. Totally makes sense.
Fylyon's next check will most likely be Hype Cave.
Yeah, the myths lock a decent amount. There's important stuff in Hype Cave for him.
It'll be interesting to see what way he decides to go after this.
Yeah, the world's a lot more open for Fylion after this than it is for Ganon's Gone Wild. That flute can go a lot of ways.
So Fylion gets his treasure trove of items there. The pyramid, just some arrows. Let's see if anything's in here. A bottle and the mirror.
Okay.
That opens up quite a bit for Ganon's Gone Wild.
Most proximately and possibly importantly is swamp.
If he goes north, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, he gets to route this in. He gets to route Zora area in with Catfish, or rather just Zora, because he did the rest of it already.
Yeah, if he goes up here and does Catfish and Zora right now, he's an Ice Rod from Gomo, potentially.
There's our lamp.
And then check what Myra is. Myra's Quake. Okay, so we need that as well.
Yep. Also, I believe somebody in chat called Mirror Shield and Meyer Shed about like half an hour ago, so congrats.
Fylian's climbing the mountain. Let's see which way he goes. Yep, Ganon's Gone Wild is mirroring. He's about to get his flute. So while Ganon's Gone Wild, I think, is building a bit of a lead here, at the same time, this seat is pretty open. And you're looking for two items that can be almost anywhere.
Potentially 3. We still don't know what the TR medallion is. It could be Bombos.
That is true.
As mentioned before, it's less than 1 in 3 that it is, but it is still possible.
I think Ganon's Gone Wild's going to make the swamp play now. As Fyleon's going to make the Hera play.
Yep. We'll need to make it over to the Pyramid Ferry relatively soon after this, but really not the end of the world as long as he does it, sometime in the near future.
So I think this is Ganon's Gone Wild. He's taken that mirror and he's going to see if that leads to anything for him.
Yeah, I like this play. You've kind of followed the early signals to some degree. Pyramid Ferry being available very early in the seed.
There's silver arrows for Fyleon. And we've got compass already in swamp. That means at least one item on the left side. Fyleon's going to take on Moldorm. With Master Sword, he can go with spins rather than hammer hits that Ganon's Gone Wild had to do.
Yeah, some runners still find the hammer hits actually easier. I am actually one of them.
Oh, he's got to watch out for that center hole, though.
Yeah, didn't quite get knocked down the middle.
So we are tied at 3 crystals right now. The difference between the two runners is that mirror for Ganon's Gone Wild. But most likely about to see a Dark Death Mountain check from fylion.
Yeah, a big item here could put fylion back into the lead.
Oh, there's the Boots and Swamp.
Okay, that's very nice for Ganon's Gone Wild. Even if they don't end up being required, which they probably will not be at this point. Still, just extra seconds over time.
And it's quick for Turtle Rock as well. So no Turtle Rock entry just yet. What we got in Hookshot Cave? Heart container. Heart container. 20 rupees. And bombs. As Ganon's Gone Wild got the map and 300 rupees in the flooded room. So that means 2 items on the left of Swamp.
Yeah, we'll see if Ganon's Gone Wild leaves those or goes back in. Usually for 2 items, runners are not willing to skip. But Left Side Swamp is kind of an awful check.
So what is fylyon's next move? He went to his house. This could be a pyramid play.
I mean, it's also 3 items, and it leads in the direction of Pod if you need to. So I would guess that's what we're about to see.
Yeah, I can't see. I mean, he could go straight to Pod as well. That's another possibility. No, he's gonna do Pyramid. He's gonna do Pyramid Fairy, which is going to get him his mirror.
Yeah, and then we'll see if he makes the same play as Ganon's Gone Wild. It's a play that makes a lot of sense, which is part of why Ganon's Gone Wild did it. But there are other options available.
Ganon's Gone Wild has his 4th crystal. Eastern is easily completable whenever he wants to. So we're basically just looking for the Quake and Ice Rod.
The bad news is, given that you can't get into Mire and Turtle Rock at all, that those items can be essentially anywhere else besides those 2 dungeons or GT. Ice Rod could also be in Mire, of course, just for added misery.
Yeah. And with all 3 pendant dungeons available, this is a wide open race right now. Ganon's Gone Wild's got the advantage, but that's about all he can say.
Yeah, he is going to check left side. One of the items over here could be the big key. The big key could also just be locking itself.
So fylion has his mirror, and looks like he's going to make the same play Ganon's Gone Wild did and check Catfish.
Yeah, it's a single check for fylion, who had already checked the Zora area fully.
As far as what we don't know right now, there's 1 item pending in deserts. All of Pod, all of Ice. We have the Smith Chain pending. We have Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks. Lumberjack has not been checked, so that is also out there. We have Cave 45 or Cave South of the Grove. We have the Bombos tablets. Checkerboard Cave. There's still a lot out there.
Spike Cave.
Yeah, Spike Cave.
Well, these checks we're naming are also pretty awful one-off locations.
There's the big key in Swamp. So the big chest will have an item.
That's there because it would be really convenient for it to not be there.
So one more check in Swamp.
You know, worth noting, especially with the big key being on left side, if fylion chooses to do left side during his initial pass through, he'll gain a little bit of time over GanonsGoneWild's path.
Yep. Though the left side had nothing, so if fylion elects to skip it altogether, it will let him gain back even more time.
Yeah, although given that that's going to be followed by diving into pendant dungeons, it would be a very bold play.
So GanonsGoneWild, in terms of crystal dungeons, he's done for now. He can go clear out Eastern, but there's no items left in there.
Yeah, I think that's the factor that would make me want to do pod first over ice, is that you could just take care of Eastern while you're over there.
That's a good point. New check here on GanonsGoneWild side, checking King's Tomb, just a heart container. He'll probably check Bonk Rocks right after this, and he might go ahead and check Lumberjack as well. For him, Lumberjack's not fully in logic yet. He does not have that lamp, but we know where that is.
It will be kind of painful for him if Lumberjack does end up being required, and then he does AGA one without the lamp, without going to Meyer's Shed, because that is, you know, he'll be able to do it, I expect, but it's definitely slower than doing it just with the light source.
We're about to find out. Oh, it's the ice
Oh my
rod.
god.
Okay, so if your kid has gone wild, when are you going to do that?
I mean, you're definitely not waiting on the lamp. You have the fire rod that can make those rooms easier. But this is actually possibly going to be a chance for Fylion to gain back some time. He might go ahead and do Meyer's Shed first. Doesn't know yet if Meyer's even locked off, but he knows he's got to do that at some point. He also doesn't know the medallion requirements on either dungeon because he hasn't seen the TR one yet.
He hasn't seen Meyer or TR, so he doesn't know. He could be thinking right now, he's just medallions from Go mode.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, checking Meyer right now would be probably in his best interest to see if he is in Go mode, which he'll find out he's not.
Yeah. And then it's going to work out that you got to go to the Dark World. It is going to work out that that'll get him his lamp, assuming he, takes the 3 seconds to walk into the shed and grab the stuff.
So at this point, we're a Quake from no mode. So that means we're going to have Go mode Meyer and Go mode Turtle Rock potentially.
Yeah, somewhat notably, fetching this ice rod doesn't actually unlock any further locations right away.
Yeah, so that's why it's okay for GanonsGoneWild to just wait on it until he finds Quake. Fylion's got to be a little careful in this fight. He's down to a heart and a half. Checkerboard Cave, another new check. Just a piece of heart. See if GanonsGoneWild decides to go. Nope, he's not going to go into desert. He's going to do Aga right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to get any faster, and you have to do it at some point. I mean, Tempered Sword would help a little, but you can't assume you're going to run into that. And this will give you some time to think while you do the, let's just call it an interlude.
Fylion is going back in, going to check left side and get his rupees. Yeah, there's still a lot of places Quake can be. All 3 pendant dungeons are still possible. There's still overworld checks we haven't seen. And I hate to bring it up, but there is one other spot it can be.
We're not having an Agaped seed tonight. I refuse.
Yeah, I just don't think... I can't say that. I just can't say that because every time I say Rando can't be that cruel, it proves me wrong. So, there's way too much to check before that's even possible. We got Smith Chain, we've got Spike Cave, we've got Graveyard Ledge still out there. There's 5 checks in Pod. There's 4 checks in Ice. There's 1 check in Desert. I mean, at this point, the only thing we know they're not going to be checking in any detail is Turtle Rock and Mire.
Yeah, those are definitely going to be go modes for whatever that's worth in TR's case.
Now, of course, I have to say that's assuming Fylion checks Lumberjack here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty standard play to do it when you get boots, so I would expect that same set of checks. But it is possible he doesn't, and then he might be diving Turtle Rock.
Alright, GanonsGoneWild is about to get into the Aga fight. So the Aga fight is seeded, so whatever GanonsGoneWild gets for a pattern in this, Fylion will get the same pattern. So even if we see GanonsGoneWild have a pretty bad pattern, Fylion will have to do this. Fylion will have to deal with the same.
Yep, let's see if we get our 15 blue ball seed tonight. Not tonight.
Finally, I'm going to check Bombo's tablet. He's fluting away.
Yeah, not going to see that ice rod until he save quits, but...
Well, he might. Wait.
Chain.
Is this a ped check?
Oh, I think it is. There's no other reason to go this way. You've got the mitts.
Yeah, we're about to find out. All right, what is it? It's the bug net.
I mean, you have to get it now, right?
Nope. Don't have to worry about that. Okay, the seed is not that cruel. So this could be one of two things for fylion from here. He could be doing Graveyard Ledge with the boots checks. He could also be doing Smith Chain. GanonsGoneWild has Aga down. Gonna go grab his Ice Rod.
I mean, I guess that way you have it in your back pocket. It doesn't do anything for you until you get that Quake medallion. Although, again, he actually does not know that TR is Quake yet. Hasn't been up there, so probably going to do Dark Death Mountain right after this.
Yeah. It would be a smart decision because he's thinking, okay, I got the Ice Rod. If Turtle Rock is Ether, I can full clear Turtle Rock right now.
Yep, and then you're just looking for Quake for Meyer to go. So if I'm going to do the Lumberjack check, right, they high five, but one of them has an Ice Rod in hand. And
now this is interesting. If Fylion's likely going to check Graveyard Ledge along with this, that's GanonsGoneWild left behind. If Quake happens to be there, this race changes dramatically.
yeah, and I mean, Fylion is probably just behind some, but GanonsGoneWild is doing some checks now that he has already done. So we'll be getting back some of that time.
All right, got Graveyard Ledge coming up here. This is something that GanonsGoneWild left behind. All right, what do we got in Graveyard Ledge? Just a heart container.
Well, we found a lot of those. Fylion now with a massive health lead.
Yeah, I think GanonsGoneWild's about to get a couple of those because there was at least 2 hearts here.
Yeah. I think it was exactly 2. Oh, but there's one in Kingstone.
So Fylion knows he doesn't need that Ice Rod until he finds Quake, and he's going to go do Pod now. This will let him clear out Eastern right afterwards.
Yep. Which will actually put him up a crystal on GanonsGoneWild whenever he does it.
Looks like GanonsGoneWild is going to give us another check as well. Spike Cave.
Yeah, this is also new information. Definitely more in Pod, but could certainly be here because Quake can be literally anywhere we can access.
Oh, Fylion took a hit. He loses Kiki. Just a piece of heart in Spike Cave. So GanonsGoneWild, since he's cleared Aga and has the mirror, he starts on the pyramid. And I think this is going to be his pod check.
Yep, so if it's in here, he'll still have the lead because he'll be ahead the Aga.
We've got 1 key plus the map. 4 keys have to be in the front of pod. And there's the compass, so we know that both chests on the right are keys. The vanilla big key chest is a key as well.
Also, with both dungeon items in the front, that pod is even more backloaded than usual.
GanonsGoneWild gonna clear out Eastern first. Doesn't really matter. He knows he just is gonna be in here to get the crystal.
Yeah. So with that, we actually also do know there will be an item on Helmasaur.
That is correct, yeah. Alright, fylion working his way towards the back. There's Powder. That opens up another overworld spot.
Oh, GanonsGoneWild may not have done all of the checks in Eastern.
So that makes sense for him to be doing this first, just in case this one item happens to be Quake. There's the big key. So we've got 3 items in the Dark Maze and then 1 on Helmasaur.
You're not going to say no to that.
Yeah, you're not going to say no to Tempered Sword. Piece of Heart. And bombs. And he's going to go take out Helmasaur.
Yeah, he knows pet isn't anything, but it's still one item.
Yeah, sometimes I'll see a runner leave this behind if they think they're behind.
Yeah, there was a race earlier today decided by a decision on that. I won't say which way was right.
But GanonsGoneWild made quick work of Armos Knights. That's his 5th crystal. He'll be coming into pod next, right behind fylion.
Yeah, with the layout of pod, there's not really that much flexibility in routing it today.
And this is kind of why you like to lose your sword beams. Because
4
that
hits
right
on
there.
that turtle, where Tempered should be killing it in one swing.
Yeah, it was a good thing to bring sword beams coming down in here because it saved him a menu hitting the switch. But then after that, yeah, it cost him a little time with those sword beams. GanonsGoneWild was going to use a little more time in pod, but with his route. Oh, he doesn't have a key.
I was about to say, there's not a way to route that before you go to the Bowlock side. There it is.
There's Quake. So fylion is effectively in go mode.
But he's got to do Aga and Eastern still. GanonsGoneWild needs to not ditch out without doing Helmasaur, which is possible, but it's deeply unlikely. that he would leave.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that... Jet's trying to correct me, saying he's not in go mode, he's in no mode. He's effectively in go mode because he knows where his go mode is. And because he knows where it is, he doesn't really need to check anything else.
Yeah, no mode is only something that really has meaning for us because we have information that the runners don't have. If the runners don't need to make extra checks, then they get to not open chests along the way, which is really where go mode matters.
So fylion should be finishing up this shortly before GanonsGoneWild gets to Helmasaur. I'd say GanonsGoneWild probably has like 2 to 3 minute lead right now.
Yeah, assuming he doesn't bail out without doing Helmasaur, that's really kind of the whole thing right now.
Like you said, it's unlikely he's gonna bail because basically his other options are more pendant dungeons right now.
Yeah, I would be very surprised to see it at this point. I think it's maybe like a 2 or 3 minute edge. Again, was relatively friendly with the blue balls, if I remember right.
Yeah. So there's Phylion's 5th crystal. He's going to flute straight to 4 after this to go take on Aga. Well, GanonsGoneWild mirroring. Oh, he's leaving!
Oh boy.
That hurts.
I mean, I think that's just good game, honestly. Like, I don't see how that is anything but the race. I mean, that Helmasaur fight, it's a long check for a single item. So, and you've got a lot of locations left. I can respect the gamble on a hunt for a single item. It's just really going to hurt him today.
Yeah, that's going to be his last location now. There's no way that's not his last location. And Phylion's in full go mode, essentially. He just has to grab his ice rod. He's got 2 go mode dungeons ahead of him. I mean, I get it if GanonsGoneWild feels like he's behind. I get the move. But, yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand the move. It's just, it's kind of funny. This is actually the second race today where that exact move has been basically race deciding.
All right, GanonsGoneWild checking the magic bat. There's some bombs. So yeah, next check for GanonsGoneWild is gonna be that purple chest. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna be going to desert and then ice.
Ice.
He's gonna go to desert right after this.
Yeah, I mean, just everywhere else now makes a lot more sense to go to than Helmasaur does.
There's a blue rupee in the purple chest as Fylion gets to Aga. And he's going to Ice Palace.
I mean, totally makes sense. It's 4 items.
I mean, if you're hoping for Ganon's Gone Wild right now, you need to hope that as soon as he grabs that green pendant, he goes back into pod after checking it. But even then, that will be a pretty big deficit for him.
Yeah, I mean, at the point that he finishes a full clear of ice, I would guess Phylion's going to be done with Mire. Depends on the key layout of Mire, but still, like if it's a God Mire.
Oh, Fylion missed a ball on here, so this could make it a little bit longer of an Aga fight. So Phylion's still working through Aga. Because of that missed shot, he's going to take a little bit longer as Ganon's Gone Wild continues through Ice Palace. Unfortunately, we know there's nothing here that can help him. He might pull Gold Sword, that's about it. I guess Red Mail too.
The quasi-vanilla mail upgrade.
Fylion has Aga down. He just has to go get his Ice Rod from the Lumberjack.
Yeah, might even just do Mire first. Nah, I'm going to go ahead and grab it.
So Fylion about to grab his Ice Rod. And there it is. I guess he's officially in go mode now, if you want to say it that way.
I don't. I stand by my earlier statement of his earlier go mode.
Yeah, I kind of do too. Basically, once he knew where Ice Rod was and had Quake, he was in go mode. Yeah, this has been an interesting race so far. I mean, up to this point, basically, Fylion found that flute early. We thought that was going to be a huge advantage for him. Unfortunately, it ended up leading him down some holes that didn't pay off. Let Ganon's Gone Wild get into Dark World first, where he basically took that advantage and had probably a 2 to 3 minute lead for most of this seed. And then Pod happened, and Fylion took the lead when he found Quake on Helmasaur.
Yeah, and I mean, if Quake had been somewhere else, Ganon's Gone Wild would be even further ahead if they had proceeded down similar routing paths from there. But because it was in that spot, Ganon's Gone Wild is probably like 15 minutes behind, if I had to guess now.
I mean, the only advantage for him is that he's not going to be forced into Mire or Turtle Rock, so he doesn't have as many checks to make.
Yeah, it is possible he does Helmasaur with the green pendant before doing Desert, which would make up some of that time.
That's his biggest hope right now, is to go back to Helmasaur right now, right after he's done Green Pendant. It is falling into the Cold Stare fight. There's the shovel in Mire. It is not a God Mire, so Fyon's going to have to keep going.
Don't worry, chat that's disappointed in not seeing the bug net today. You got to see the bug net hint from Ped, which is even rarer.
Well, there's Bombos. Unfortunately, you probably got excited for a fraction of a second when you saw a medallion, and then just dashed through the heart.
Yeah, not really a surprise that the other fire source would be in Pendant Ice after getting one of them.
He's going to 5 to turn in the pendant.
Yeah, but no portals, so...
Finally, I'm going for the cutscene chest. We have not seen the big key yet.
This is the opposite of a godmire, a dogmire, if you will.
10 arrows on the green pendant. And he's going for desert, which makes sense. 2 items in here.
So that was not the big key. I believe
Yeah,
that just leaves
unfortunately-
him with south of the spike room.
Yeah, unfortunately, fylion is going to get this in his last location. It would give GanonsGoneWild a little time to catch up later, but it's still going to be too little too late at this point. Fylion got his big key going to Vitreous. With silver arrows, Vitreous is a very easy fight.
Yeah, has to loop back around to the
Well-
left because he didn't have a small key.
One thing we have to keep an eye on with Fylion is his arrow count. He's at 9. Assuming he empties all of his arrows on Vitreous, he's going to have to pick up some.
Yes, as long as he notices that there are pots along the way in TR with guaranteed drops, so should be fine. Just ignores those 5.
Yeah, as long as he picks up some arrows at some point. One of the worst feelings can be going into GT and not having arrows, and you have to do the mimic rooms.
I mean, he could just cape strat the small eyeballs on Vitreous and just use the silvers to finish the big eye.
GanonsGoneWild going back to Landmola's. We haven't seen what's back here.
I mean, whatever it is that's back here can't be as insulting as that Bombos medallion.
Oh, he is going to use NMG strats where he's damage boosting into the eyeballs, and then going to use arrows to finish it off.
Yeah, so he'll have 4 here. I believe it's a 5 drop in the pot in TR that's along the way, and that should be enough.
Yeah, with silver arrows, it's not as big of it's not as important to watch his arrow count. He just does need to make sure he at least has a few at all times.
Honestly, at this point, even if he had to take that shovel and dig outside of GT, it'd probably be okay. A fairy in a bottle off of Landmo.
If I should clarify that, NMG is no major glitches. It's the standard speed run of the vanilla game. The standard speed run is any percent, no major glitches, no save and quit is the full title. GanonsGoneWild is about to check the pedestal and find out that Quake is not there either.
Yeah, one of the highlights of Randomizer for many people is that you fight bosses with a wide variety of weapons. So it is sometimes notable if you end up taking just pure vanilla strats because you have very similar loadout to what you would in the base game.
Yeah, many randomizer runners practice the NMG run because a lot of the skills from that can translate into randomizer. Not everyone does, but a lot do.
Get the double check up head from Ganon's Gone Wild. I don't really blame him. Some of the text is not necessarily super obvious as to what it's referring to.
Looks like he's going for Graveyard Ledge now as fylion enters Turtle Rock. This lead fylion is getting just bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see how Ganon's Gone Wild goes back to pod as long as he has anything else left.
Yeah, if you're in a situation you're almost like you've committed to this decision, you're going to see it through.
Right. I mean, he's correctly assessing that if he skipped it and his opponent did not, and that's the location that he's going to lose. So this is the right play from that point of view. It's just in this particular seed, it's not going to work out for him.
Yeah, I think that's always a good distinction to make. Looks like he's going back for pod now.
I mean, I think he's out of locations.
It's a good distinction to make, though. The difference between a good decision and a right decision. Leaving pod, that's potentially a good decision because it saves you time if nothing's there. And you've got so many other locations potentially. It's a decent decision to make. The problem was it just wasn't the right decision in this seed.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, Randomizer, especially for a one-on-one race like this where you are racing against a single person, not for like the average of the best time, is about risk management and just knowing where you can try and shave off time to gain advantage over this one person you're playing against.
The other thing for GanonsGoneWild, which is worth remembering too, is this isn't an elimination game for him. This is game one of a 3-game series. This is not do or die. He has another game to play after today, regardless of what happens. So, as much as it's going to hurt to lose this game potentially, he's still alive. So GanonsGoneWild's probably about a minute and a half from getting his Quake. And he's going to be about 2 dungeons behind fylion by that point.
Oh, there's our butter.
So that Ganon fight is going to be very simple. Alright, GanonsGoneWild taking on Helmasaur. fylion just needs a small key from the laser bridge.
Yeah, no, he skipped the big chest and the central chest. There are layouts where there isn't one, but this is not one of those.
Alright, Helmosaur is down for GanonsGoneWild. He's about to get his Quake Medallion.
It's not quite 2 full dungeons behind, but basically 2 full dungeons behind.
Yeah, this is basically going to turn into an all-dungeon seed for GanonsGoneWild.
Yeah, basically, like, actually, he's going, if he finishes it out, to have completed all dungeons, including AGA 1.
Yeah, you're right. This is essentially an all-dungeon seed for him.
Fylion with a 1 cycle phase 1 for Trinex.
There's another heart container up to 16, and that's his 7th crystal.
And see numbers in chat already. Feel free to put in guesses 1 to 22 for where Fylion is going to find the big key. I don't know if you have a standard guess or not, JP.
I always like to just look for the vanilla chest, which actually ends up being 15. It depends on the route, though.
I like to guess tile room if I'm feeling mean, and torch if I'm not. In this case, let's go for the torch. 3 for the routing I always use, which is the routing none of the runners really use anymore.
So finally, I'm starting with Hope Room. I believe this is called Hope Room just because you... Actually, I'm not 100% why this is called Hope Room.
I've always assumed it's because you really hope that it's there.
That was my assumption, too.
Honestly, it makes more sense than half the names in this game. A mushroom on the torch.
We've got some baked mushrooms for you today. That didn't sound the best. Grilled mushrooms we'll go with.
Yeah. So there were no keys in Hope Room, by the way, so he was forced into going left after that. Ooh, our single arrow, a unique item.
A bunch of keys there. That's usually how it goes when you don't get a key on the right side in those first 2 chests. And Fyleon's going to go to the right now, getting so many of those keys.
Yeah, this is a deeply back and forth sort of route.
I think a lot of runners like to do this route when they get a bunch of keys on the left, because it tends to mean that there's a higher chance it's going to be in the compass room. But I'm not 100% sure what those numbers are.
Yeah, I route the way I do in GT because I hate this room right here.
Yeah, this room's a little annoying. Okay. There's the map. 10 arrows. Piece of heart. And 300 rupees. So I think we're up to 11 now. Over on GanonsGoneWild side, he did not avoid going to the cutscene chest, so he's not going to save any time over Fylion here.
I have to admit, I'm not 100% sure I love any route through here that involves going each side twice.
I think runners like to do it because it kind of balances going full left versus full right. Yeah, I can't really tell you if there's any route that's better than another. I think most routes are valid to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, for most routes, there are some scenarios where they'll save time over various other routes.
I think we are up to 13 chests with that check there.
Yeah, we're basically on full right numbers now.
All right, we've got 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 or 20 rupees.
I'm going to laugh if after all this it is on tile room.
Finally, in over 2,000 rupees and 17 hearts.
I seem to remember one of the devs mentioning that the rupee cap was going back down to $9.99 with the next version. I can't
hadn't heard
swear
that.
to that, but I don't remember who it was saying that. I can't swear that that's true, but you know, that's going to make me laugh if it's the case. Oh, there it is, Bob's chest.
I'd be chest 18. By the way, I was saying about arrow issues earlier. Fylion more than fine on arrows at this point.
Yeah, when you check 18 chests in GT, which gets some extra junk filled into it, you're going to probably be okay. He just has the mirror shield. He can just stand in front of these mimics.
You don't think about that all the time when you're going through these rooms. You have the mirror shield. You don't even have to worry about those mimics. You can just face them and shoot. All right, finally, I'm about to enter the gauntlet.
You know what really helps with the gauntlet? Silver arrows and butter sword.
And that they do help. Nice Stalfos room there. So far, so good on the gauntlet.
Yeah, that was a very nice room with the conveyor belt ice room. I don't know if all these rooms have individual names or not.
Took some hits there. He's down to 5 hearts. I think he was thinking about powdering, but he's not going to. He's going to use the fire rod here.
Yeah, between that and the Mothula fight, a very nice use of fire rod tonight from fylion.
Over on GanonsGoneWild side, he's just getting into TR as fylion gets a nice magic refill there. In the torch room. Get through there. Through the second torch room. He's got 2 small keys. He doesn't need to do anything else.
Nope, I assume he will take the health refill here.
Yep.
But not the magic refill, just moving on with life with a half bar of half magic.
He's got a blue potion. He's fine for magic. Especially with gold sword and silver arrows.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. and 17 hearts.
Here's the Aga 2 fight.
I think that was a single and a single. I'm not totally sure on that first cycle.
I think that was another single there. It's like another single.
Yeah, I'm doing it off of audio. Okay, the first one must have been a double.
No, that was a double to end it. And so all that's between fylion and a win in game 1 is a Ganon fight. Gold sword, silver arrows doesn't really get any easier than this. Looks like he got 2 teleports for the first phase, so he should be in phase 2 by now.
Yeah, and phase 2 is pretty straightforward to one cycle with Butter Sword.
Now in phase 3, as usual in phase 3, these teleports are seeded, so each runner will get the same number.
And entering phase 4, we'll see if he gets any doubles in here. No torch glitch, but probably gonna, yes, use that to set up for a double or a triple. Gets the triple. Very nicely done.
And fylion is going to take game 1 of this set. As soon as he crosses that bridge, we'll get an official time. And he has finished in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Good performance out of fylion tonight. That was a lot of fun. GanonsGoneWild heading into Trinex. And I believe we're joined by fylion. GG.
Hi.
So let's just start. How are you feeling after that race?
Like I need to practice my Aganim fights. And not just the Aga 2 fight. Apparently Aga 1 caused me some grief. I got 3 extra cycles because I missed the first ball he shot. But other than that, pretty good. I want to give a huge shout out to my friend the Boomerang at the start of the race, because farming to 500 without red rupees as a stun prize is a hard time.
Yeah, that was a nice farm that you had early, even though really didn't need to do it. It did get you that flute a little earlier. You did get the flute first out of the two of you.
Yeah, when I pulled that flute, I felt really good, partly because, hey, great, I got the flute early, and partly because, like, that area was stacked. We didn't need the ether, but we also got hook shot and fire rod from there. So when I came out of that with Flute, in addition, I was going, okay, I feel ahead just from getting this. But obviously I haven't seen it back yet, so I don't know if that was true.
You were ahead for a bit. Unfortunately, the Flute didn't lead you to much early, which actually did let GanonsGoneWild take an early lead. It was actually a pretty close race most of the way. I think GanonsGoneWild was leading for a lot of it. The deciding factor was Pod.
Yeah, that's what I gathered. Is he bailed out before Helma, and I just was diligent in doing the dungeon.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know when he went there. At the time I went, it felt like a good idea to stay, just because if I missed it, I was never coming back until I cleared a few other not great dungeons.
So he did it. He got over to that area a little, like very slightly after you, but was up, having already done Aga 1. But he did Eastern first. So y'all were kind of trading off in that area, but he was basically up the Aga 1 clear.
Yeah, the oh, did he check Lumberjack right at the start then?
No,
No.
but he had boots before you,
Right,
because he did
right.
Swamp. Because he had done Hera before you had on his first trip to the mountains, so got to the Bomb Pyramid Ferry earlier.
Yeah, so that was the one issue I had with the way things played out at the start, was just because of going to Eastern later, getting my glove almost last location. And then that gave me hammer right away, which, whatever, that's fine. I don't mind last locationing something in the light world, but it really hurts to then have Hera technically available, but also not have the mirror. It turns out the mirror was locked behind that. So even when I did get my Dark World access, I was like, I could go back to Hera. That doesn't seem like a good choice, right?
Yeah, it's hard to, like, once you've cleared out the rest of Light Death Mountain, it's hard to know when to go back for Hera.
Oh, when you have the mirror.
Well, sure. That wasn't going to happen this seed, so...
Absolutely not. But yeah, it was, other than that, I felt fairly good about my route. The game was nice and generous with some stuff, including that half magic just made the moth fight go really nicely.
Yeah, I actually really liked that Mothula fight with just the fire rod.
He cooperated. I didn't have to get out my B. Oh man, I was so excited when I got that B, and I was going to turn it in for 100 rupees, and then it was a bad B, and grumble. But yeah, this was weird, because aside from Quake, it was kind of a follow the items seed. Like, just go to the new dungeon you opened, go to the new dense location you opened. There was kind of a logical leap you had to do to get that pyramid, but the sphere for it was so low that it just seemed really suspicious. And that's all fine, and that's good, and that makes for a fun race, but then suddenly you're going, well, I beat the easiest stuff. Where the heck is my Quake? Like, I don't know. I feel bad for GanonsGoneWild, because that's just the rough situation to be in, where it's really hard to know what call you should make.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't know if he actually last locationed it, but it was pretty close. Which, of course, you're going to do after making that call.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Boots could have been a lot better, but obviously they could have been way worse. One chest earlier in Swamp is where I like to see them, but... And then just to talk about my GT routing, I think I've heard from probably Doc Bob that if you get that many keys in Stalfos room, you should check the right side. So that was why I mirrored out there. And in hindsight, I probably should have stayed on the right and just gone straight to Harmos Knights. Not because that ended up being correct, but because that sounded like a better play long term. But, oh well.
Yeah, I was curious about that routing. I figured you may have been intending to do like full right side strats going in and then just didn't get a key to do it. I wasn't totally sure.
I mean, I'll be honest. I could make up the time I lost in GT routing just by not flubbing Aghanim and also Ganon. I've never got south-facing Ganon with Gold Sword before. Like, that's just not a thing that should happen. So I'm gonna load up the practice hack after we're done here.
Okay. I'll admit our stream got a little weird at that point. I didn't see some of the technical details of Aga 2 or Ganon's early phases.
Oh, that's probably for the best.
I know you've always talked to me about that, where you don't stand in Ganon's path, so you don't interrupt his teleport to make sure you get the one cycle.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And actually, with Gold Sword, even if you get in the way, if you react fast enough, you can still get him. You just have to have hit him more than I did. So that's how it goes.
So, have you guys talked about Game 2 yet? What GanonsGoneWild's going to put into the seed?
We have not, actually. So I'm not sure what he's going to pick. I know that the match is the same time tomorrow night. And apparently we got the SG2 restream, so that'll be fun. In general, I'm scared of him as an opponent. I think we're pretty well matched. You might have mentioned this at the start, but Plasma Kappa 2-0'd both of us, and we both 2-0'd Apathy Duck. So, like, all the numbers mean this is a really close series, right?
Yeah.
That's how that works?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it definitely was close. Like I said, you two are pretty close for a lot of it. I think it was just your checks that put GanonsGoneWild ahead for a good amount. And then, just like I said, it was a good gamble that he made, to leave when he did. It made sense with his number of checks he had left. It just didn't pay off.
Yeah. So, but I'll be curious to watch this back because I have a feeling our early routes were fairly divergent, and I kind of want to see how that plays out. And hey, I want to hear what you guys had to say.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing you in Game 2 tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be signing up for commentary again. I don't want to hog your matches.
Given the late point at which we got Mercer to join, anyone out there who wants to commentate my gameplay is free to sign.
That's fair.
I tried to be fairly nice. I don't think I said anything too terrible.
Listen, earlier I said anyone who signs up is supposed to laugh at me, so.
Don't know if I did laugh or not at any point. Tell me when you watch it back.
Just misses the triple there.
Yeah. Just one shot away from finishing for GanonsGoneWild. There he goes. So we won't have a fully official time here. We had a little issue in the IRC. We'll say it's a 1:58:45 for him. Fortunately, he had a little issue in IRC, so his time is something much higher than that. But as far as we're concerned, it was 1:58:45.
I'm not even sure if it actually matters for anything in the tournament anyway.
It just matters for SRL points, I think.
Okay.
We'll see if he joins us here in chat to talk about this race. I'm not sure if he's going to. Didn't mention anything in the IRC chat. He should have the invite though.
Well, he's in the channel, so I'm guessing he's going to join us.
Is my mic working?
It is.
Hey,
GG.
what's up? Yeah, that was a really close one.
Apparently, it was quite close until the thing happened. So,
Well, which thing was that? Not finding go mode for 35 minutes?
yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's not anything I can really do. So that was actually literally the last place that I had to check. There was nothing else.
Yeah,
That's rough, man.
we figured once you left behind, it was going to be your last location.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is literally the slowest check in the entire game outside of left side swamp when it's only one item. So it's pretty much, I think it's actually a decently common skip to skip Pendant Helmasaur King. It's super slow. But I don't know. I guess it had the medallion this time, so whatever. I wonder though, like, do you have any idea? Like, let's say when I finished pod, left pod, if I just went back in, did I do that before ice? I think I did that before ice, so I might have still had a chance at that point.
If you had just gone back in after doing, well, you did Eastern and then Pod.
Yeah.
You were ahead. It was a little complicated. You were going to finish out that pairing a couple minutes after fylion, but you had already done AGA 1, and he had not yet. He knew he had to do it, I think, at that point, but hadn't done it yet.
That's right.
I
see.
think
I was putting Aga Tower off, kind of as long as I could, just to see if I could pull a better sword, which I did.
Well, I was thinking, like, I think it made sense for GanonsGoneWild when you did it when you did, because you didn't know what Turtle Rock was at that point. So, as far as you knew, you probably could have pulled that ice rod, gone up to Turtle Rock, and done that right then and there.
Yeah, I didn't know what the medallion was, so I was just hoping it was ether and I could just go do it.
Yeah, I think if you just go back in at that point, you have like a minute and a half lead. It's hard to say for sure, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you both were. It would have been very close. I think you both went to Meyer and basically did the exact same thing, going through the cutscene chest that had nothing.
Yeah.
Your Turtle Rock routes are pretty similar. I think your GT routes. Don't recall if you went full left or if you did.
Oh, there wasn't a key to go right, so I just went left after checking the first two on the right.
Okay, so you would have had that happen. You would have probably gained a little more time on fylion in GT because of the routes.
Did he do like Dark Magician?
Let's not talk about where I went in GT. Mistakes were made. Charts were read upside down. Stuff happened.
Hope Room into Dark Magician. It would be a description.
I just said.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you probably had no clue where I was at that point, so it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I had no clue. It choose. Like, he could be in GT or at the top or way behind. Any of those is plausible. There were so many valid routes here.
Yeah.
So we were asking Fylion about this right before you came in. Game 2 tomorrow. Do you know what you're going to do for Game 2? What change you're going to make?
I'll probably just do like Assured Sword.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just like it's just so annoying to not have the sword or just be on like fighter sword for an hour. So maybe prevent that from happening. I've had a lot of like crappy swords for a long time. So
Now that sounds good to me. We can just do immediate escape at the start and pretend it's standard.
yeah.
All right. It's getting late, so I don't want to keep you guys too long. Any final thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it'll be a good one tomorrow. So good luck tomorrow, man.
Yeah, thanks. GG.
All right, can wrap it up for tonight here. As I mentioned, race 2 is tomorrow on the schedule, same time, 11:20 Eastern. Speed Gaming 2. Looking at the schedule for tomorrow, we've got a few matches on the schedule for tomorrow. Looks like our day currently. I'm just gonna refresh this to make sure I got the most up-to-date one. First race on the schedule for tomorrow is at 5:50 Eastern, Matt 7898 versus Machinex. At 7:20, got T-Stu versus Korek. 8:20, Big Dunka versus Bomb Chew Missile. These two runners again will be facing off on Speed Gaming 2 at 11:20, and then we got a 2:50 a.m. match on Thursday between Dark DeMartio and Magnificent.
That's like afternoon Asia time and awful time for everyone else.
That'd be morning in Europe, so the people, our fans and watchers from Europe, will get a nice morning set to watch to their coffee or whatever they drink in the morning. Yeah. Thanks to our checker today, Linkforce, and thanks to our runners. Make sure to give them a follow. They put on a good race for us today. And thanks to Mercer for joining me here on commentary today.
Yeah, thank you, JP. This was a fun one to call. I'm looking forward to the game 2, where I will watch them have assured swords and have all the routing decisions work out. I want to see a jet seed tomorrow.
Yeah. With that, I think we will call it for tonight. So everyone, have a good day, good night, wherever you are.